Alrighty, we are live. We are live. I think we had a few people waiting already, but this is going to be a new intro. Obviously, this is our first live show as the Neutral Zone. So obviously, a little bit different, different ring to it, I guess. It's going to take a little bit, of time to kind of get used to it. So bear with us. But Nico in here.
Dang, he call you little.
His Cowboys just got thumped.
Yeah.
Doug Van Dane here after the Oregon post we did. JB finally back in the building talking about
what
Missouri.
up, JB, man? I ain't seen you in a minute, man. It's still Ohio State over here,
And I did make the thumbnail for the Mizzou videos. We're gonna be dropping that probably in the next week or so. But what's going on, everybody? Let us know who's all in here. Comment. Let us know where you're kind of viewing from and stuff like that. Fans and now? Who's that? Who's that?
Man, I don't know what this guy be talking about, man.
JB's crazy, man. But yeah, we're gonna be going live every Sunday until the new season starts. So every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully that fits everyone's schedule so we can get a kind of a consistent number of viewers in here to talk football with us. Obviously, a lot of big news this week that we didn't avoid talking about. I mean, we posted videos, but we haven't went live like we probably should have with the whole Saban news, but we saved it for this weekend. So very excited to kind of talk about that, see everybody else's perspectives.
And I know we didn't talk about this. Did you see that Washington? What?
I thought you were trying to be funny, bro. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You see Washington got the coach from Arizona?
It's crazy. So I worked with Edgar today. Edgar, stand up. I know you in here.
Yeah, you stand up.
No, I know you because I've been talking about it all day.
What did you think I was gonna say?
I don't know. I thought you were gonna say something funny because whenever you say like, nah, but seriously, like I thought you were gonna say something funny. But I'm not gonna lie, Washington is about to fall off a cliff. Yo,
Arizona just had a good season. Why are you saying that?
They lost all 4 quarterbacks on their roster. Yeah. They all hit the portal. All 4 quarterbacks are gone.
They may bring over some Delora or somebody from Arizona.
They're gonna have to. But I mean, I think when you look at, they are literally, I told Edgar this, they're gonna be the TCU of this year. That's exactly what's gonna happen. They're gonna go like 7-5 or 6-6 next year. And I think it's because they're losing so much production.
Wait, how you say Edgar, stand up? Your team is gonna suck next year. I just want
no. I said
Edgar,
you
to stand up so I can tell you how bad your team is. Your team is gonna be trash next year. Stand up so I can see you, so I can tell you how shitty your team is gonna be.
You misinterpreted that. No, we talked about it at work today. That's not what I was saying. But yeah, I mean, I think Washington is going to have a really hard time. Maybe just in the first initial year of DeBoer leaving. I mean, who knows? Maybe Arizona's coach Fish can do a lot better as time goes on. JB said Washington is done. 2 returning starters, 2 decommits, 21 guys in the portal. Big Ten is calling Stanford to see if they'll reconsider. I think Washington is going to be in trouble. I know they play Michigan next year. But outside of the Michigan game, I don't know who else they play. So they are moving to the Big Ten. So I'm assuming they're going to play either Penn State, USC, or Ohio State. So I just think when you're looking at the amount of decommits you had, and then you had quarterback Will Howard, I think his name is, going to go over there, then he decommits. Then you lose all 4 quarterbacks who are on your depth chart. Obviously Penix, and then the 3 guys who were behind him.
Penix,
yeah. Well, I mean, the 3 guys behind him, that is crazy. Jabbar Muhammad, he hit the portal. He was their best corner. They're talking about him going to Oregon now. Obviously, you lose Trice. So.
All right, just a quick. They do play Michigan next year, as you mentioned. I'm just going to name notable games. They play USC, they play Penn State, and they play Oregon.
Yeah, so very tough schedule, obviously. Edgar said rough week from the top of college football world to the roughest week. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, though. I mean, I'm going to be honest. You guys made it to the playoffs 2 times in a 10-year span, and there's a lot of like a team who that we're posting tomorrow. So we're posting the Ole Miss video tomorrow. They haven't made the playoffs. And, they finished top 10 this year. So there are some other programs like Texas, for example.
I mean, we can name a lot of blue blood teams. I don't think Florida has been in the playoffs. USC's never been.
USC's never been in the playoffs.
I'm shocked by that.
Yeah,
I think maybe Texas has only been once.
Yeah, this was their first time. Texas, Florida has never been. Obviously, Auburn has never been. Penn State has never been. So there's a lot of teams that have never been to the playoffs.
And
so the fact that Washington has been twice, made it to the national championship, like I said, nothing to hang your head on. Obviously, we're going to be doing the Washington recap here soon as well. But I just think overall, they have their work cut out for them. They hired the guy from Arizona. I think Edgar told me that he's getting paid $7.5 million over 7 years, which isn't terrible.
So like $1 million a year, or
no,
7.5
7.5 a year. I'm sorry, per year. I said that wrong. But I think he has a chance to kind of prove that he's a good coach. But I don't know if I don't know what he's gonna be able to do with the amount of people he's losing. I mean, you're losing. Yeah. It reminds me of the Oklahoma situation.
I think what's going to happen is a lot of those Arizona kids are now going to transfer and they're going to go to Washington.
I agree with that. I do think that's going to happen.
I can see. You want to tell you who else I can see? I can see Dorian Singer going up there, right? He had success with him. Dorian Singer's in the transfer portal.
Yo, I did not mention JB at all. JB is crazy. Yo, JB is a nut, bro.
Maybe has never been in the playoffs. That is a fact. Neither is Missouri. But
hey, don't start poking Missouri because he's gonna start talking about that Ohio State game. So I wouldn't do that.
That's fine. He can have it.
He got bragging rights till next year. That's for sure. Y'all might not play again for another decade. So who knows?
He does. He got bragging rights.
That's crazy.
Well,
he's in the Army. That's why. He's in the Army.
Y'all wilding.
JB said Dorian Singer blows.
Dorian Singer at Arizona was a 1,000-yard receiver, one of the best receivers. Yeah, now, obviously, he didn't have a great year at USC, but again, if he goes up to Washington, back with his coach, again, who I'm not saying that it all, but I think they're going to get a bunch of guys out of the portal. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, the floor just leaves from underneath him. But I could see a 8-4 year or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on who they can grab in the portal, last minute and kind of, make them mesh, because you're losing so much starting, caliber players, so much production that I don't really know how that's going to work. Obviously, we already, recognize the teams that they're playing next year. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that goes. But to kind of stop, bashing Edgar's team, because I mean they still had a great season, so not to bash them anymore.
They did, absolutely. I mean, they were in the national championship game. That's a great season.
When you look at obviously the biggest news of the week, a lot of you guys, we haven't been able to talk to you about it. I don't think we talked to Tweety. I don't think we talked to JB. I don't think we talked to Nico. We haven't talked to. I know we talked to Guinea Pig a little bit. But how do you guys feel about obviously Nick Saban stepping down and then DeBoer moving over? Dad, I'm going to give the floor to you. What is your kind of takeaway from the Nick Saban legacy? Obviously, you talked about him being the GOAT, but kind of your overall takeaway.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I am not an Alabama fan. In fact, Alabama is probably second in the teams that I like the least. But I don't think anybody watching this, no matter how you feel about Alabama, I don't think you can knock Nick Saban and what he's done. 7 national championships is ridiculous. 6 in the last 17 years. And that this run at Alabama – maybe the greatest run of any coach in any team in college football history. And I'd be very shocked if it ever gets surpassed. In terms of Kalen, we'll see. It's tough to follow Nick Saban. I don't want to put too much out there because we have seen the sample size of him very small in terms of big program head coach. Right, no knock to what he's done at Washington. I think he was 24-3 there total in his 2 years that he was in Washington. So amazing coach in Washington. But this is, as we mentioned in the Nick Saban video, this is something different. My concerns are this is a region he hasn't really been in. Right, Fresno State is close enough to Washington where you're kind of talking about recruiting the same guys. The South, where you have some big name recruiters. And to include everybody coming down there, this is a whole different landscape. It seems that him and his offensive coordinator, who also moved over to Alabama, have something going. It seems that they – what's up?
Guinea Pig said Washington doesn't have a quarterback, third-string transfer. They're going to fit right into the Big Ten.
But it seems like they have something going. So I don't put past him that he may go to Alabama and have some success. that he may go to Alabama, and because we've seen what he did at Washington. I think the year before he got to Washington was 4-8. I may be wrong on this, but something like 4. They had a down record the season before he got to Washington, and he was able to turn that around in 24-3 in the last 2 years. Alabama has much more talent than he's probably ever seen and ever had at Washington.
For sure.
So if he can bring that system, if that system is universal and can work everywhere, because what Alabama isn't going to lose their entire roster. Now, obviously, some kids may jump in the portal, but they're still going to maintain 80-90% of their roster. So I suspect that this is still going to be a very good team next year. You still probably, and I'm saying probably because we don't know what's going to happen, you're still probably going to have Jalen Milroe to build around. If you can kind of help him with the passing game to make that even better going into next year, kind of like what you did with Michael Penix, there is no telling where this may go. So it's hard right now to judge a floor or ceiling with DeBoer. I'm just going to say this is one of those ones where we got to wait and see.
Yeah, so, I mean, so Isaiah says Saban's going out is a big loss for Alabama, but DeBoer will be solid. People are always going to compare. They're obviously going to compare. But I'm also going to say this. Even though they're losing commitments, they're losing people to the portal. At the end of the day, Alabama's backups are better than a lot of teams' starters. So at the end of the day, Nick Saban was not recruiting 2 and 3 stars. He was getting 4 and 5 stars, every single year. So they're still going to be loaded, just as loaded as anybody. And I will say this, Nick Saban had his hands intertwined with the DBs and the defense very heavily, but DeBoer is a very good offensive mind. He has probably the most athletic quarterback in all of college football to scheme and build around next year. He's still going to have talent in the backfield, on the offensive line, and on the outside. I expect that this offense is going to be a lot better next year than it was this year. He just brought over Grubb. He brought over the offensive coordinator. So I think this offense is going to be amazing. I do think the defense might take a step back. But I know Nick Saban has an office still.
That's another big piece of this, right?
Nick
Saban is still going to be very involved. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tweety said, I mean, I hate to see Nick Saban leave, but nothing lasts forever. And even though I was opposed to getting DeBoer, I was hoping for landing myself, but I'm willing to give him a chance. Just disappointed. I think either of the guys were really a good pickup.
They're both
when you're looking
young,
at the different
up and coming coaches with, in terms of resume, right? They still have a lot to prove. I'm not knocking. Why did you put this on the screen?
Oh, I didn't even see it. The question is, how many guys leave Alabama? How many coaches is he going to bring his coaches in? How will he handle it when OSU killers and Mizzou comes to? Oh.
I don't.
This dude, JV's crazy. It's crazy. Sometimes, like, I'll try to read his comments like with a straight face and like really trying to get the meaning of it, and then I realize it's a troll. Like, you're crazy.
But Alabama's going to be great. They're going to be in that picture, no matter if I went to go coach them, because they have that much talent. So it's just a matter of can he make his system work in Alabama? If so, man, this has the potential to work. My concern isn't necessarily next year because he's taking a 90% done product. My concern is 2-3 years from now when he has to recruit his own guys, get his own guys based off of his name. That's my concern. I think next year they're fine. I think 2-3 years from now is when we really see if DeBoer was a great hire or not.
So Patrick, I do want to talk about your Texas Longhorns actually. So that's a good kind of segue to move on. I've been vocal about Texas. I did not think Texas was that great of a team. I think heading into this next season, they have to be, one of the clear favorites for the SEC after beating the SEC champion this year. They have to be in that conversation. You obviously are going to lose a little bit in Worthy. I think A.D. Mitchell might be gone. But
they're getting Isaiah Bond.
They're getting Bond. You bring back Quinn Ewers, which is kind of interesting when we talk about Arch Manning. You bring over Andrew Makuba from Clemson. Obviously, I know him a lot better than anybody here, but I think he was the number 1 safety in the portal this year. Yeah. So he's going to be a big plus for you guys there. Dab, what is your kind of early, I wouldn't say preview, but what is your early assessment of what Texas has coming back, and how do you feel about them going forward?
I think, and I'm going to take this from two standpoints. I think Texas is still going to be good because I think Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. And I think you saw the level of improvement this last year. I think he went from 58% completion percentage the year before to 69 last year. He increased his touchdowns, kept the same. I think he was only 6 interceptions still. This guy has it potential. I think it's smart that he came back. I think he still has some development. So if he can build a bond, and this is funny, but if he can build a bond with Isaiah Bond, the same way that he had with Worthy, this team could really take off. I'm actually also proud at Manning, at Arch Manning. I think the good thing for him is that he's one of those guys that has sound counsel. He knows that he is learning to be a college quarterback. So whether it's sitting behind Quinn Ewers or whatever the situation, this is kind of the old style way of doing things. You waited a year or two, then you took the starting job, and you were a lot more prepared. There were a lot less growing pains. So I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think he knows his time is next year. So he's going to sit behind Quinn, continue to learn, probably get a little bit more playing time this next year, especially in blowouts or other opportunities. Especially if Quinn gets hurt or anything like that, he'll get much more playing time this next year. And then when Quinn leaves next year, he'll be ready to take those reins, a year or two as a starter, put some good tape together, and he'll be ready for the NFL. So I like this old school mentality of kind of waiting your turn, learning, and then being ready when your number's called.
Yeah, and another thing that Tweety brought up, obviously you guys lose Bond and Roydell Williams. Kind of to lean more towards the Roydell Williams signing.
And Caleb Downs is coming to Ohio State.
You wish. I think Roydell Williams going to Florida State is kind of crazy because me and Christian, which I'm not sure where he is, but I talked to him earlier. He was going to talk about Florida State when he got in here, but he was very adamant about the fact that Florida State would be, able to re-sign more players in the portal. And I didn't believe it. And as of right now, it feels like every single day somebody's signing to Florida State. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? I don't understand. And it's almost like I didn't believe the whole transfer portal wave of doing things because Colorado did it and they fell off a cliff, late in the year. But Florida State did it, goes undefeated in the regular season, and they're going to turn around and do it right again.
Now, let me say the difference is Colorado built a whole new roster. Florida
Correct.
State, the line was basically there. So they were able to supplement what they already had. Colorado was starting from ground zero, so it's not apples to apples, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think Florida State, because they got so many pieces, obviously DJU, bringing in Roydell Williams, who was a, 1A, 1B kind of back at Alabama. You bring in over an offensive lineman from Florida. I think they're not going to take as much as a drop off as I thought they were going to, just because the fact that they're going to have so many key pieces from other schools like they did. Obviously, I don't think anybody is a Keon Coleman or a Jaheim Bell. Right. And you do lose Jordan Travis. And I don't think DJ can replicate what he did. But I mean, I don't think Florida State's going to be that bad next year. I was on record saying that they're going to take a pretty big drop. Obviously, I talked to Christian about that, but I'm not going to take that statement away because I don't think they're going to be in the ACC title game next year. I don't think they're going to be able to make it that far. But we'll just have to see. Bryce said seeing Bond go to Texas. Oh, seeing Bond go to Texas from a mile away.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of seen that. What's your thought on Cam Ward going down to Miami?
That one was big, just because I swear that he announced that he was going to the draft.
He did. There was I think a 13-day time period between when he said he was going to the draft until deciding to go down to Miami.
It doesn't, I mean, I'm not gonna say it doesn't make much sense because I think Miami brings back a lot of pieces and they were really just missing a quarterback. Obviously, Tyler Van Dyke had that tremendous freshman year and then kind of slipped afterwards. And they went to the other guy this year. I forget his name, the guy who beat Clemson. But I think when you look at a guy like Cam Ward, he's probably a top 5 quarterback coming back for next year. Super athletic. Obviously, he didn't have the same talent at Washington State that he's going to have at Miami. So I would say Miami has to be one of the earlier favorites for the ACC next year, with maybe a bid for the college football playoff. I don't think you're going to get 3 ACC teams in the playoffs. So I think you're going to get the champion. And if there's a 10-2 or an 11-1 runner up, they may be 11 or 12 seed. It's going to be very hard to get in the playoff in the ACC when you have a conference like the SEC, as well as the Big Ten with so many powerhouses there. Doug Van Dansen,
I'm going to go the opposite way. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think he would have been a 4th or 5th round draft pick. This gives him an opportunity in a high media area to put, Washington State, no knock to them, but a lot of people are not watching Washington State games unless they're maybe playing a USC or Oregon or Washington. This year, a lot more of his games are going to be on TV. He has talent back around him. So you got guys like Mark Fletcher. You got, I don't know how you say his name, but Jacoby George, Robbie Washington. So you have talent around him, probably unlike anything he had at Washington State. So if he can go there, put more good film on tape, he could probably move up his draft stock. Plus, I think Miami is one of those places, and I don't, the NIL is tough, but I feel like he's probably going to make decent money in Miami just based off of NIL stuff. I assume that's probably part of his decision that Miami's going to, have some NIL deals in place for him. So he's going to, whatever they do in the collective and all that. And so if you can do that and increase your draft position, like that's a win-win.
Yeah, I did see French just decommitted earlier. They obviously lost Ryan Williams, I think, the day that Saban retired. Bryce said Auburn is going to get Ryan Williams. Tweety said, but hate has been an all-time high since the news broke from Georgia, Auburn, LSU, and pretty much every entire SEC team. They're going to get a sigh release now that the GOAT is retired. I do think that it opens up the SEC a lot more. But I'm also going to say, although Alabama won this year, Georgia has, in my opinion, kind of dominated college football. Obviously, you go back-to-back championships.
The last couple of years.
Yeah, so it's kind of
Saban won 11 out of 17 SEC championships. That's ridiculous.
Definitely. Doug Van Dansen, Oregon getting Muhammad from Washington. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I'm not sure if you're in here, but we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Please don't bring up Tyler Van Dyke. I can't believe Wisconsin brought him in. Tanner Mordecai 2.0. With Wisconsin, it's kind of weird. I know my dad kind of alluded to it earlier. I think it was like week 4 or 5. We thought Wisconsin was going to get to airing it out, and they went right back to Wisconsin football. And
which is what they got to do. The hard part with Wisconsin is that's a place where you're not gonna pull in recruits. You're not gonna out athlete the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Penn States, some of those blue blood teams that are kind of built that way. I love Fickle. Obviously an Ohio State guy, but you're not going to out recruit some of those teams, especially in athletes. So you basically have to build that team based on what they've been, which is go get big linemen and pound the ball. They quickly got away from what it was they were kind of talking about in the offseason that they were going to try to transition to. And at the end of the day, Wisconsin has to Wisconsin, which is you have to play. You got to get your running back. You have to go get these big Wisconsin offensive linemen, and you have to play physical in the trenches football.
Yeah. Chris says, I hope Colorado gets some help this offseason and will be way better this year. So many close, heartbreaking losses last year, the Star and Shadur.
And I think we talked about this, right? They had maybe 2 or 3 games where they were, out of it. Obviously, the Oregon game comes to mind. But beyond that, they had not, 4-8 is never great, but they had another 6 games, I think, where they were 1 possession away from winning. So hopefully, with another recruiting class, another year of off-season work and prep, they brought in 5, what looks like 5 new offensive linemen. I don't necessarily like that because I think offensive line, as much as any position, relies on chemistry. I need to know what the guy next to me can do. He needs to be able to feed off me just like I feed off him. But they brought in 5 new offensive linemen. The offensive line was atrocious, so I understand it. But the fact that you now have guys that have been in the building for a year, they understand the culture a little bit. I think I'm not going to say, they're going to be 10 wins next year. But I think some of those close games, they may be able to pull out next year.
Alrighty, guys. So before we get into this next segment, this is something me and my dad kind of came up with earlier today. I think it'll be fun to kind of talk to you guys about it and get your guys' opinion. But before we get into this segment, please do us a favor. Like the stream for us. Share it to a friend. Let's get, double these numbers in here. Help us continue to grow. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. So we do have that signed Heisman jersey giveaway. Is the giveaway is going to be coming next Sunday during our live. We're going to go live every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. But again, please take the time, pause, send this to a friend, share the video to a friend, get more people here to talk football with us. But with all that being said, we do have a segment we kind of want to go over. This may be something that we do every episode because there's so much we can do with this kind of segment. So basically what we're going to do is, my dad is obviously older than I am, so he started watching football way before me. So what we're going to do is this. For what he's seen, he has his favorite kind of group of players or people that he kind of looks at as the college football greats, if you want to say, or people that he enjoyed watching. And obviously I have mine. So what we're going to do is, today we're going to start with quarterbacks. We're going to list our top 10 favorite quarterbacks that we've watched, that we've personally seen.
So this is opinionated.
Opinionated for sure. And we want to know what you guys think about our list. And we can kind of, debate back and forth. But again, it's opinionated. So there's really nothing that you can tell him or me about what we think. Some of these guys may not have the stats as, other people that we're going to name. But again, it was based off what we've seen. So obviously he's seen more quarterbacks than me, logically. So he might have other people on the list that I couldn't name. So it's going to be based off of who he's seen and who's I've seen. What's going on, Alan? Nice to see you, man. We haven't seen you in here in a while. Alan watches damn near every video, so I got to give him credit, man. He comments on pretty much every video.
That's what's up. Appreciate the love.
A lot of times he can't make it to the lives, but personally, Eddie Brown, 1874 yells to go. You're an idiot, guinea pig. Yo, you're an idiot. Jack's number one quarterback is Roger Staubach. You're crazy.
Boy, Roger was that dude now. Navy, come on now.
All right, but yeah. So
I got the Roger Staubach jersey. I may put it on.
Like I said, before we get started with our list, though, please share the stream to someone. We want to get this to 30 viewers in here so we can get a lot of people in here talking. But do you have an honorable mention before we get started? Do you have an honorable mention that you did not name in your top 10 that you've seen?
So this hurts me, but I did not put Troy Smith on my list. Okay. Troy Smith is probably one of my favorite Ohio State quarterbacks of all time, but I couldn't put him on my list just because a lot of these players were super exciting. I love tuning into them every Saturday. I'll also tell you another name I did not put on my list that may be a little shocking to some of you. I did not put Tim Tebow on my list.
Get the hell out of here, bro. That's crazy.
That's my opinion.
No Tim T?
I did not put Tim Tebow on my list. But I think I still have my list is about guys I wanted to tune in and see. So I do not have Tim Tebow on my list.
Okay, my honorable mention might be surprising, but look at the timetable. Steve is about to end the live. Look at the timetable here. So the very first football game I ever watched was the Rose Bowl, Texas USC. I do not have Vince Young on my list. Because
watch that underway, baby.
I don't have Vince Young on my list again. I'm 27 years old.
So the fact that you don't have that is wilder than me not having team.
Okay. I didn't watch him.
You watched that game.
But that's the first game I've ever watched. So I can't say like you got to look at it this way. So
that's not the first game you ever watched. That's the first game you remember.
Okay, so that's the same damn thing. If that's the first game I remember, then that's the only thing I have recollection of. So I can't say that if I don't remember, I can't say he was the most exciting thing I've watched if I don't remember watching the dude. Okay. So that was the last game that I watched, or that was the first game that I watched. So I can't say that he is a top 10 quarterback for me that I've watched because I only watched him play one time. Some of these guys, I've watched them play 40 games.
Okay,
so
I respect it.
He didn't make my list, but I think Vince Young is number one, if not number two, best college quarterback of all time. So I'm going to make sure that's known. As far as, do I think he's there? Yes, but this is an opinionated list because I didn't get to watch his entire career. He didn't make my list. Again, I'm sure he's on your list because you watched his entire career unfold. I didn't. So I'll go first with my number 10. This is the neutral zone, but I am going to be a little biased here with my opinion. My number 10, because I only have a sample size of about 15 years here. I went with Trevor Lawrence at my number 10. I think the reason why, hear me out, he doesn't have the gaudy numbers like a Vince Young or like a Tebow, but he won the national championship as a true freshman for my favorite team, obviously. After the fact that we obviously got one with Deshaun Watson, I didn't think that we'd get another one for a while. So I have him as my number 10. And it also got really thin at this part of the
I'm going to tell you, I respect this for one reason. I respect it because I also think that you probably watched him more than a lot of other quarterbacks.
That's true as well.
Okay.
Oh, Brady Quinn is a really good name, actually. Brady Quinn is really
Brady
good.
Quinn is not on my list, but an Ohio guy. My number 10, I know he's on your list. I know you probably have him way higher than me. But number 10, I have Lamar Jackson.
Holy shit. Number 10 is crazy. Okay. What is your reasoning behind it as for him at
what do
number
you
10?
mean? For
this is why it's wait
before you 10 of all time. That's not a bad place.
Well, it's not 10 of all time. It's 10 as of like
for my life
1980 something, which is fine. Okay. Yeah. But you have to have recollection. Don't name somebody when you're 2 years old though. That don't count.
No. Everybody that I am naming now, I'm gonna say I have some picks.
What?
I probably have some picks that you're like what, but number 10, I have Lamar. That's like he's an exciting player. I think
crazy, Nico.
Everybody else on my list. So let me say this. I'm going to caveat my list. I think if you take Vince Young, I think I only have 2 people on my list that you just wouldn't qualify on your list. I think I only have 2.
Okay, that's not bad then.
But yeah, Lamar, number 10. Go ahead.
Okay.
My number 9 first.
You go number 9 first. Yeah, you go number 9 first.
Number 9. I'm going to go, and this one is a little bit, I don't know if you will understand this, especially fans. Steven, you may. My number 9, I have Colt Brennan.
Okay, he was actually an honorable mention for me. I didn't name him.
So if you guys remember, and obviously, you guys know some of the story. We lived in Hawaii. Colt Brennan was putting up ridiculous numbers. So like I said, this is a guy that I got to see a lot. And if you guys remember those seasons, magical. I think he still holds a lot of NCAA records, and we got to see it live and in person. So yeah, I had to put Colt Brennan on my list.
Okay, so my number 9, it was hard to rank this guy, just because he's not the most athletic quarterback. I feel like a lot of quarterbacks on this list were very athletic just because they're dynamic. When you're thinking about somebody you really want to watch play, it's somebody who's going to run and score a touchdown, make people miss. But this guy was a part of probably, if not the best offense of all time. He was a part of a top 3, and that's Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow for me is number 9, 60 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, obviously obliterated my Clemson Tigers in the national championship game, completely dominant year. LSU could go down as a top 3, team of all time in college football. Obviously, we talked about Miami. We talked about the Floridas, the Alabama teams. Side note, Bryce Underwood's LSU. We might win the whole thing next year. That is not happening, Nico, but we'll move on.
So you go 8.
But I think LSU number 9. I'm not LSU number 9. Joe Burrow number 9.
I respect it.
Is a solid pick. Moving on to my number 8. Let me go back to my list. This might be a weird one, but I kind of just basically describe the guy. Let me pull up his numbers really quick so I can kind of talk about it a little bit. Just because I know this guy's not on your list, but I feel like Preston said, is this just quarterbacks? Yes. So
just quarterbacks.
People who are just now sneaking in here. First of all, like the stream, send it to a friend, get the numbers up. But secondly, every time we go live, 9 p.m. Eastern every Sunday, we're going to be doing this until we run out of positions. But we're doing quarterbacks. So obviously, I'm going to give my top 10 quarterbacks, in my opinion, of my lifetime or my generation that I've watched football for. My dad's going to give his. So we're going to have different lists, obviously. But my number 8 is Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray has to be on this list. And it's crazy, Preston.
Kyler Murray is not on my list, but
Preston, you're crazy because when I said that, I almost said pause, but I was like, it's whatever. I'm not even gonna say what I said. Y'all can go back.
You gotta say.
No, y'all can go back if y'all want. That was a crazy statement, Preston. I'm not gonna lie. You're the only one who caught it. No, we're not ranking centers or offensive linemen. But I think Kyler Murray has to be on the list. Number 8 for me. Very dynamic quarterback, obviously one of the best dual threat quarterbacks we've ever seen, especially at his size, which we're going to talk about more people above. But I really like Kyler Murray here at number 8.
All right. My number 8, again, maybe a little bit of Hawaii bias because of our time in Hawaii. I think this is somebody that I keyed in on a little bit more than other people, but great college career. I have Marcus Mariota at number 8. Dual threat at Oregon, if you guys remember. He was killing it, won the Heisman. So, yeah, I have him at number 8.
Who's your number 7?
My number 7, and I know he's on your list. He's probably number 1 for you, but this is where I have Deshaun Watson. Probably one of the best quarterbacks.
Talk to me, baby.
In college to not win the Heisman. Went to the national championship 2 years in a row. Won it once. Dual threat guy in college. I don't take away the stuff that happened after college from him. The guy was exciting while he was in college. Fun to watch. One of those guys you wanted to tune in for.
I have 7 right now, right?
You have 7. Yep.
Okay.
Go 7.
My
6.
number 7. I'm going back-to-back Oklahoma Sooner. I'm going Baker Mayfield.
I respect. I don't have Baker on my list.
So I think Baker has to be on this list just based off of the numbers he had. We're talking about a top, numbers only wise. We're talking about just numbers. We're talking about a top 5 quarterback of all time in college football. We're talking about strictly the numbers. Obviously, he didn't win a national championship. Chris, you just put a hole right in my heart, man. You know what's crazy about this?
You didn't put Taj on your list?
I forgot about Taj, bro.
Oh that's tough.
My whole list is fraud now.
How did you? This is literally the reason you're a Clemson fan.
I'm not gonna lie, that's fraud. I might have to redo my list on the fly. Yeah, he did not make my list. Massage enthusiast is crazy, Edgar.
Massage enthusiast is facts, though.
But I think Baker Mayfield, like I said, has to be on this list. Although Taj is my favorite player, I think it's hard to put him on the list with these guys. So if I'm being completely honest, I don't.
Yeah, but this is your opinion.
I agree, but I mean, he didn't. I'm not okay. He didn't make my list. That's how we're gonna leave it. My favorite player of all time, but he didn't make my list. But my number 6, I have Marcus Mariota. Same reasons you said. Obviously, dynamic. I missed it. Is it all time in all eras? Okay, so Justin,
we've seen.
Yeah, so basically, we're naming our top 10 most. I'm not gonna say most exciting. Top 10 favorite players to watch of our personal era. So obviously my dad's going to have different lists than me. So that's what we're doing right now. So my number 6 is Marcus Mariota for everything you said. Obviously growing up in Hawaii, Percy, that's a different position, different kind of thing. But growing up in Hawaii, obviously Mariota was everything out there. Had a great career at Oregon, had I would say you call him a bit of a bust if you want to say in the NFL, but had a great college career. So he has to be on my list. Dynamic quarterback, dual threat in every meaning of the word. You guys
lived in Hawaii during that time. You couldn't walk down the street with somebody who either didn't love Mariota, know Mariota. Oh, that's my cousin. I think Mariota has more cousins in Hawaii than anybody in the world. All right, I'm gonna go 6'5". 6 is where I have Burrow. Obviously, I tuned in because he was an Ohio State quarterback. When he went down to LSU, obviously put up ridiculous numbers. I'm gonna 5. And this is the one where I'm like, I wonder, does he have this guy? It's very possible you do, but you may not. One of the most exciting quarterbacks that I've ever watched, and I don't give him a lot of love, so this is going to seem like it comes out of left field, but Pat White. Where are you going? I don't know what you're doing.
I know we didn't just name Pat White with these players.
Pat, in terms of excitement?
Pat. No, we're not naming Pat White.
Pat White is on my top exciting quarterbacks of all time. Pat White was ridiculous.
That is crazy.
Thank you, Justin. Tell him, Justin.
But you
that was
now. Let me wait. Okay, but let me say something though.
Exciting offenses.
But I'm not gonna lie. But this is a crazy statement though. And I'm not gonna lie, comment section, let me know. Having Pat White above Lamar Jackson, 5 spots is exciting. It's crazy. It's
people are wanting to watch. That's not crazy. Pat White was that dude.
I'm not gonna lie. Having Pat White 5 spots above Lamar is crazy. And Pat White and no Tim Tebow?
No Tim Tebow.
You wilding out.
Pat White was amazing. Amazing. Right, y'all. This is probably before y'all time a little bit. Over Lamar.
That's not before my time. Pat White was nice. They were option.
You remember Pat White was the whole reason. If you guys sound like a creative player, Chris don't know who Pat White is.
That's crazy that Chris doesn't know who that is.
I mean, the fact that if you don't know who Pat White is, go look at Pat White highlights. Ridiculous.
Pat White don't got highlights like Lamar Jackson. But anyways, moving on. You know what's crazy? I made this list so damn fast, and I'm kind of mad about my list. Hold on. Edgar said, Steven at the beginning of this is the players that we have watched in our lifetime. What is? But I saw Pat White in my lifetime. That's the difference. And he wasn't even like a thought. He wasn't even a thought.
Pat White was a dude.
Yo, this dude is crazy.
Pat White's black. Like, how does he sound like a racist? He's literally a black guy.
Anyways, before I get into my number 5 and 4, there's a guy I left off on this list, and I'm so pissed off I left him off this list because I would have took Trevor Lawrence off for this guy. That's Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor is not on my list, and that's because I left him off. I don't know.
You're a big Terrell Pryor fan.
And I made this list so fast that it's like I just I didn't look at no stats. I just went off my memory.
So if West Virginia,
I would have moved Trevor Lawrence off for Terrell Pryor.
Okay.
And that's
Terrell Pryor didn't make my list though.
Okay. But my number 5 is where I got the GOAT of Clemson. I have Deshaun Watson here. Not much to say. I think he's one of the.
You have him at 5. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think he has to be top 3 to 5 players to never win a Heisman based off of his numbers. He obviously came in second against Lamar and Derrick Henry, I believe, in back-to-back years, if not second or third. Won a championship against arguably the best Alabama team of all time. I saw him play in person, obviously, in the national championship game that we lost. So Braxton Miller is a good one as well, but I like Terrell Pryor over Braxton Miller. Massage enthusiast is back. But yeah, in my opinion, GOAT of Clemson. So I have him at number 5. Number 4. Number 4. Bryce, if you're still here, you're not going to like me because this is where I have your guy, Cam Newton. I have him at number 4.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I'm assuming you have to have him on your list.
He is definitely on my list.
But I have Cam Newton at number 4. The 3 guys above him, I just feel like I like watching him a little bit more. Also, Cam Newton, during this time, I would say it was kind of hard because he had the really good year when they went to the national championship game, when they won the national championship, whatever. But other than that, I think these other 3 guys was a little bit more explosive and did it for a longer period of time.
Yeah, he had 1 year. Okay.
So that's what kind of separated me from Deshaun being here and then the 4 other guys above. That's almost as egregious as Pat White. No, the hell it's not. When I name these 3 others, no, it's not. But yeah, so who is your number 4?
4. Number 4. This is one of those guys that you couldn't put on your list. You probably never seen. Some of the old heads in here will know who I'm talking about. Tommy Frazier. Again, option quarterback, Nebraska.
Hey, Justin, where you at, man? He talking about your guy, man. Where you at, Justin? That's Alex's cousin.
Tommy Frazier is Alex's cousin?
No.
Tommy Frazier's black.
No,
Alex is white. I know
Justin is a Nebraska fan, fool.
Oh.
This dude is an idiot, bro.
Like, dummy. Tommy Frazier. If you guys remember in the 90s when Nebraska was run, what is GBR?
Go Big Red. Come on, keep talking, bro. Come on.
Oh, I'm not a Nebraska fan.
But you're a college football fan, man. Come on.
But yeah, I had to put Tommy Frazier on my list. Mr. Exciting. Had to go on my list.
You're number 3.
And then number 3, the first dual threat guy that I really kind of outside of Tommy Frazier, but Tommy Frazier was much more run than pass. That I was really like, yo, this dude is it. Mike Vick. If you guys remember Mike Vick,
he didn't make my list.
Okay, if you guys remember, Mike Vick at Virginia Tech took that team to a national championship against Florida State, dang near by himself, almost won it. Mike Vick, and you guys probably are more familiar with what he did in the NFL. But when he was in college at Virginia Tech, he made Virginia Tech. He put Virginia Tech on the map. I didn't even know what Virginia Tech was until Mike Vick went there and did what he did, and then obviously they were on the radar after that.
So you have 2 names left.
Yes, and you know who both of them are. I'm sure you can guess.
Okay. My number 3. Oh man, this is gonna be tough because I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. My 3. This is where I have Tim Tebow.
I have Tebow on my list. So I said that from the beginning. I don't have Tebow.
That's how egregious it is. I'm surprised again.
Like, what are you doing?
No, like, Tebow again is crazy.
I literally said that in the beginning.
So I don't.
Why are you looking? Shit? What is? Do you have dementia?
I don't think you know I don't think I know who your other. I know who one of them is. I don't think I know who your other guy is. If you
You
left off
literally-
another guy, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna kick you out of this live. You left off another person. I'm not gonna lie. But by the way your list is set up, I don't think you have this other guy. But my number 3 is Tim Tebow. I couldn't put him above the other two just because the other two were just
What two do you got?
To me was out of this world.
Okay.
And again, I think Tim Tebow made Florida. He played with one of my favorite players of all time in Percy Harvin. So really, I would say the Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin era was what really drove me to college football, to be honest. Because that was 2 years before Taj went to Clemson, and that was a few years after Reggie Bush played in the Rose Bowl. So that was kind of where Jeff Demps, Chris Rainey, all those guys. That's where I kind of like love college football when I started playing the game and stuff like that. So I have met 3. My number 2. Now, I don't think this guy is on your list, and it's very surprising to me that if he's on your list, you haven't named him. This is where I have Johnny Manziel.
So Johnny Manziel was close. I do not have him on my list though.
You got Pat White on your list, but no Money Manziel, bro. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
that is actually insane, bro.
I don't have Manziel. Go ahead, say it.
Manziel is my number 2.
Okay.
I think he is one of the best college football quarterbacks of all time. Obviously, the numbers he was putting up, defeating Alabama at Alabama in that big game, kind of solidified it for me. Obviously, a lot of stuff, off the field and stuff like that.
Now, my thing with Manziel is I think Mike Evans made that team much more than Manziel.
Yeah, but I mean, he still had gaudy rushing numbers too, though. I mean,
he was good. He was good. All right, my number 2. So I'm gonna tell the story.
I don't know who his number 2 is.
As we talked about this, now I'm gonna see. Let me know at what point you know. As we talk about this, you guys know at a point in time, Steven.
I hate this dude's story times, bro. Come on, hurry up.
At a point in time, Steven played football in Virginia Beach, which is how we knew Percy, how we knew Taj. So Percy was obviously at Florida, comes back after the year they beat Ohio State in the national championship. Obviously, Tebow at this point in time is all the big deal.
Where the hell is he going with this?
He says, hey, man, Tebow, this is actually, I'm sorry, after the second national championship. He said, man, Tebow is great, but we got another guy that is amazing, better than Tebow.
Oh, okay.
He said, we have a guy that is better than Tebow. Obviously, guy falls off the scene for a little bit, but he was a name in my head because Percy kind of mentioned him. I don't know who he was at this time. I don't think I was that deep in recruiting. And I'm definitely not deep into Florida recruiting. So I'm like, who is he? Who is this guy? This name he said. And then obviously a couple years later, he pops back on the scene. And it is Pat. No, I'm just joking. And Cam Newton. Cam Newton to me had one of the most exciting seasons in college football history. And I say one of the most. Literally won a national championship. I see that. Literally won a national championship by himself, damn near. Kudos. I got Cam Newton at number 2.
So obviously, go ahead and give your number 1 because we know who your number 1 is. So,
who's my number 1?
Vince Young. So
Vince Young. Yeah.
Why do you feel like he's number 1?
Because again, when we talk about, I said Cam Newton basically took a team to a national championship. So did Vince Young, and probably the greatest college football game that was ever played. Steven kind of alluded to it earlier. Vince Young was that dude in college. The ability to pass, the ability to run, literally beat one of the greatest teams in college football. And if you look at that team, Reggie Bush, Lindell White, literally beat one of the greatest college football. At that point in time, it wasn't even, is USC going to beat Texas? It was by how much. And Vince Young, 200 yards passing, 200 yards rushing, damn near took a game over. Didn't damn near. He took a game over, led Texas to a national championship. Vince Young's the most exciting college quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
So no Peyton or Eli for you, Jax?
Nah, not at all.
Okay. So my number 1 is Lamar Jackson. Not one of my favorite players. Not one of my favorite players.
Okay.
But I think when you talk
What
about
did you
guy,
not? Are you too young for Vic? Vic in college?
yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Because
That was the other person.
When was he in college? It had to have been in like 2004 or
like
5.
early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if I didn't have Vince Young, I wasn't gonna have him.
Okay.
But I think Lamar Jackson has to be on this list for me.
He was
again,
on my list.
He was number 10. I don't think the reason why he made my list and he's number 1 is because you knew that watching Louisville play, you were going to get something crazy out of Lamar Jackson. And maybe it's just because he played against Clemson 3 times. And every time he played Clemson, he almost single-handedly beat us. More notably in his final game against Clemson, they really should have won the game. His wide receiver ran out of bounds on the goal line, and they should have won and got the first down. But Lamar Jackson, for me, is the ultimate, college football quarterback, rushing for 20 touchdowns, throwing for like another 30, 5,500 total yards on a team that if you really think about it, of all these quarterbacks that we've named, Louisville is the worst program of any team that we've named on all these quarterbacks. Because we named
over West
Tebow.
Virginia.
What? Pat White shouldn't have been on the damn list to begin with.
Pat White should have definitely been on the list.
That's crazy. So I'll give West Virginia. But other than that, I mean, when you look at the talent around Lamar Jackson, why no Jameis? Jameis, I almost said something crazy. Jameis
you weren't a Jameis fan. Yeah.
Jameis is not my cup of tea. And I think same thing with Cam. He only did it for 1 year. So that's why he didn't make my list. What y'all think of Geno Smith?
You talking about like at West Virginia? He did his thing. Like, no, not, but I don't think he'd be.
But he wasn't Pat White.
The fact that y'all asleep. I need all the people in the thing who know. I actually thought Pat White might make your list. Pat White was there. When you finish this, look at the Pat White video.
But yeah, so I mean, that was our top 10
list.
list.
AB's list starts with five white quarterbacks. Tells me all I need to know about this list. Jay, there's no way you got 5 white quarterbacks first.
Oh my God, you are crazy, bro.
But JB got Pat White on his list. I'm not. That's the man's list. He got 5. He started with 5 white quarterbacks.
Pat not white is crazy.
Your list was very white though. Pat may not be white.
But yeah, that was our top 10 list, quarterback edition for our eras. We're gonna do that running back ones next Sunday. Again, we do have a huge giveaway coming Sunday. Should I announce who the player it is so that way it can kind of hype it up? What you think? Because I can go grab right now and announce it. And then everybody knows.
If 5 people say you should announce it, we'll announce. We need at least 5.
We'll do DBs too, but we're gonna do running backs next year. Let me know. Everybody comment.
Next week, not next year.
I'm not next year. Next week. Everybody comment. Should I show you? Edgar said no, but should I show you guys what jersey we're giving away? Well, the only reason.
So wait a minute. Put JB's comment on the screen. My list was not in order besides the fact that you thought of 5 white people first to type. So the fact that it wasn't in order, but you thought of 5 white quarterbacks first.
All right, come on. Listen. So, Tweety said announcement. So type yes or no in the comment section. Do you want to see the jersey that we're giving away next Sunday? Yes or no? The only reason why I'm saying yes is because if everybody knows what jersey it is and the potential that they can win, they're going to show up. And it's like everybody's going to show up because you have to be here to get your name on the wheel to win the jersey. So let me know yes or no.
Look what JB, you wildin'. I didn't say that. I didn't say right. He did. Hey, blacks were in the back. Right, he Rosa Parked his list.
You're crazy.
Right.
I'm gonna announce the jersey. I'm gonna grab it.
Go ahead. Where you gotta go? Don't leave me out here with these people.
No, I'm gonna go grab it. It's in the closet.
Okay.
I'm gonna go grab it. We're gonna do the running backs next week.
I'm actually excited to do running backs. Steve Slayton's
please.
probably making my list.
Steve Slayton better not make your list. That's crazy. please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this to someone. We're at 1,006 subscribers. MLK Day. Yeah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. I'll be right back. Let me grab
it. He said that because his mom is white. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, sweetie, I mean mostly JB. JB
all right,
makes me.
So I got the jersey right here.
All right.
Again, if you guys, what's going? Oh, that's AJ. That's AJ right there. Those of you guys who have not already,
because I said Steven's mom is white.
Oh, okay. Those of you guys who have not already, please subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know exactly when we post. We post every single day. And we're also going to, like I said, do the live show next week, 9 p.m. No.
I know Dr. Umar would be so mad at me, but well, she's part Asian, like maybe 50-50 Japanese and white. So Steven's part Japanese too. And so is his brother, who's also in here.
You are crazy.
Yes, I did.
But here is the jersey. Thank you guys so much for helping us get to 1,000 subscribers. The next giveaway will be at 2,000 subscribers. So help us get to 2,000. But again, please subscribe if you haven't already. Send this to a friend. We are 1,006. But in order to win this jersey, before I announce it, in order to win this jersey, you have to be here next Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. You're gonna get your name on the wheel. So the jersey we're giving away is a signed Tim Tebow jersey. We just talked about the guy, obviously.
That's why I didn't put him on my list.
You can see the signature right here. Signed blue Tim Tebow jersey. Been sitting in here for 5-6 months. Unsealed in here with the stamp of authenticity. So you guys know that it's a real one.
Who tried to say it under my... Do you see the color of me? And Steven is my son. It's obvious that his mom is not black. I'm dark.
But that is the jersey. Like I said, I know a few people just got back in here. So Tim Tebow signed Heisman jersey. I'm going to be announcing this throughout all week. Every video we post outside of tomorrow's video, because we already recorded it right before this one, so I won't announce it in that one. But throughout the week, I'm going to be announcing this, showing this in every video, so that way somebody can
yeah, I think we got to do a Pat White jersey.
So somebody can win this jersey.
Pat White.
Again, you guys have to be here next live. We appreciate everybody for showing up and supporting us. Please, he said, oh, hell no, I'm not showing up. If it was a pic of him crying when we kicked their hind parts, I'd tune in.
Did you remember? Yeah.
But please, like I said, share this to someone. Get more people in here on the show. It's super fun when we have a lot of people. Boring. It's not the greatest white quarterback of all time. Pat Black. All right. Listen, we will see you guys tomorrow. Again, please hit the notification bell. What?
Bro,
I think you won number 5. You won number 5, I think. You're number 5 or number 10.
55 up there. Pat White was a quarterback. What quarterback do you know that wore number 55?
Devin Brown was number 33.
Yeah, after slinging Sammy Baugh.
Who that? I don't know what you said.
That's why he wears the number. He wears it
slinging
Sammy Baugh. My wife.
All right.
Well, remember that Steven's mother. So
yeah, JB's crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
You wildin'.
But we will see you guys tomorrow at the show. We're gonna be recapping the Ole Miss Rebels. So please share that to someone, as well as be here. Now that's an old head. Be here next week so you have a chance to win this Tebow jersey. But we'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for rocking with us. Like the stream if you have.